Bienvenidos al primer podcast de DO Sostenible. La intención de este podcast es crear conciencia en toda la República Dominicana y en el mundo sobre un gran reto ambiental que tenemos por delante, que es el manejo de los residuos sólidos, no solo en la República Dominicana, sino en el mundo. Hoy tenemos dos invitados muy especiales, dos personas que han dedicado su vida a una causa muy importante, que es el mensaje de cómo podemos manejar nuestros residuos de una manera diferente y cómo podemos con ello mejorar la forma en que lo manejamos. Esta experiencia inició ya hace 10 días con la llegada del barco Plastic Odyssey y hoy los tenemos aquí a los dos representantes o embajadores de ese barco y esta iniciativa, que son nuestro amigo Simón y nuestro amigo Alexander, Alex, y queremos conversar y conocer un poco sobre su historia y sobre qué los ha motivado a estar hoy en día en República Dominicana, en esta pequeña isla del Caribe, con este mensaje tan importante que están transmitiendo en todo el mundo. Voy a cambiar un poco el idioma inglés para que podamos comenzar a comunicarnos y a poder transmitir el mensaje. The first question that I want to ask you both, what was the motive for you to begin and start traveling the whole world with your message?
We were both together. We did the same school. We graduated from the Merchant Navy Academy in France. And so we were both passionate about the ocean, sailing, but also exploring. That was something very important for us. And at the end of the school, we discovered, during our navigations, we discovered the amount of plastic that was ending up in the ocean every minute. And it struck us because when you are sailing on crossing the ocean, you don't see a lot of plastics because it just goes in the bottom of the sea or degrades into microparticles. You know, we all have this image of continent of plastic, but actually when you are sailing, when you are a sailor, you don't see the problem because the problem is hidden inside the ocean. So it's one day when we stopped in, for me it was in Senegal, 2016, where I saw all this plastic on the beach, you know, and I thought we need to do something. And when coming back from this trip, from this expedition, and talking with Alex was also very, thinking about this problem. And that's how it all started, basically.
Alex, what was your experience?
The same experience also. I was born in a family very close to the sea. We did fish a lot every year with my father. And when I started to be a merchant navy officer, the school was in France and we did a study to be merchant navy officers. I thought I would be an explorer, an explorer for new lands. But also I discovered through years that our day-to-day basis work would not be to discover anything. It would be to just go from a place to another, from point A to point B, with a ship full of merchandise. And also I wanted to do an exploration, like an adventure. And at the end of the 6 years of school, Simon went to Senegal, and myself, I had a daughter. I started to see the future differently, totally. Firstly, I was thinking of my future, and suddenly I was thinking about like the 50 years coming. And when we talk about the plastic problem, first we thought that we could handle the problem, the plastic, in the sea by collecting the plastic. And we talked a lot about it. We had a project in mind that was existing already, and we wanted to join. I wanted to join. I volunteered. And Simon said, oh, no, look at the scientific data. There is no plastic floating in the sea. So I was like, the project is it working anyway? And he said, we looked into it and we said, no, there is no solution that can clean the ocean out of the plastic. We have to act before. And in the end, we started the project thinking that we have to show the real problem, which is not as easy as it looks. It's easy to think that there is an island of plastic, a continent of plastic in the middle of the ocean. But in reality, it's very hard to show the real problem, which is microparticles and species that die out of plastics, and the plastic in the bottom of the ocean at minus 1100 meters, nobody can see it. So first adventure before the boat was to try to show the real problem with an angle of solution, which is quite difficult when you think about the problem.
My experience was different because I'm not a merchant marine or anything, but when we began working with DO Sostenible, with trying to find a solution for the problem of the plastics, in our case it was because we saw a lot of the beaches full of plastic. Afterwards, when we started searching and doing some research, we began to see that this plastic was originated on most of the rivers of Dominican Republic. But when you went to the river doesn't make plastic. People are not going through the river and throwing plastic. It's because people in the cities throw their plastics in the streets, and when rain comes, goes through the small rivers and creeks all around our city, and they flush the plastic, and they ends up in the rivers, and then afterwards in the oceans and in our coast. So I imagine it was the same experience that we understood that the solution of the problem is not the solution of cleaning a beach. That is what has been done in the Dominican Republic. We have a lot of companies, we have a lot of NGOs that work on cleaning the beaches, but we have to avoid allowing those plastics to come in the beaches. So it's interesting because we're sitting down in this table today trying to find the same problem, and we've come from different backgrounds and trying to find different solutions. So afterwards, that experience, a trip around the world, in what year did you begin, and how has been up to here that you're today in the Dominican Republic? How many countries have you visited, and what have you learned from traveling and visiting different countries with the experience?
So the idea started in 2016, so almost 7 years ago.
How old were you then?
I was 25,
24,
Alex
myself.
24. So
Wow.
yeah, we didn't have any clue about what it could be to launch such an expedition. So it was really like, okay, we want to do something. Let's do it. But we didn't know how difficult it was to do something like that. But anyway, it started small because we didn't have any money, we didn't have any contacts. So we thought, okay, we're going to start small. The only idea was, as you said, we need to stop plastic from going at sea. And so for that, we need to act in cities, in coastal cities. And so what best tools than a boat going from cities to cities, from island to islands? There is no other option than a boat. And as we were merchant navy officer, it was normal for us. So, but obviously, such a big boat, she's a 40 meters long research vessel, so it's a huge vessel. We didn't start with that. We started with a small vessel, 6 meters long, that we built ourselves in a garage. You know, we managed to find small sponsors at the beginning, just to build this first prototype. And then we went around France to show the prototype and look for other sponsors. With this idea in mind, we're going to go around the world to go in the most polluted countries, or at least in countries where there is a big challenge. And so after a few years of finding new sponsors, then we eventually found a boat. So the idea was to transform it, to make a full-scale recycling laboratory. So that was really the idea. We were not just going to go around the world, we're going to test, and also we're going to invite people and work together hands in hands with entrepreneurs from the countries, because we didn't have any idea in mind. We thought recycling is not something new, so we need to discover what the countries around the world are doing and just be a catalyst. Just spread the best solutions and work together to invent a new way of doing things, of getting rid of this plastic. So that was the idea in the end.
Alex, can you explain to us at the end, when you did all this research and you had the opportunity, I imagine, to get in contact with different type of technologies. What was the best technology, the ones that you're exposing to us in the boat right now?
Yes, of course. We have a few technologies that can transform plastic into new objects. The one that looks the best from an exterior point of view is a machine that is called pyrolysis and can make fuel out of plastic, because plastic is made out of petrol, out of fuel. It looks amazing, it is, but it's a bit complicated to replicate it because it needs high technology or quite high technology compared to the other machines that we have. And at first it was a stroke. It was very hard to tell people this is a solution, but also we will not make a round the world expedition just to change plastic into fuel because it's pointless. The idea is to recover all the material and transform it into a new object that can live forever or for a very long life. And the first boat that Simon talked about, it was called Ulysse because of the Odyssey. It carried a pyrolysis unit, a very small pyrolysis unit. It got us to be known in France, but with this message of transforming plastic into fuel. It was quite hard to change the message and to say, okay, everybody can transform plastic into fuel, but this is not the ideal thing that will replace raw petrol or raw gasoline. And in the end, the most amazing stuff is the most easy machines, the most simple machines that can transform a raw waste into a new material. It is amazing. It doesn't sound as amazing as transforming the plastic into fuel, but it is. You can make a table like this, a seat, or a construction material also, tiles, tubes, and you can make a lot of things that have a value in the local market and can change life by creating jobs through the process of making it.
You're describing is circular economy. It's a term that is very used right now in the industry, and this is what you're describing. You're trying to make useful waste. You can take the waste and transform it into a material that can be used in the industry, it can use in construction. So that's basically what you're doing, and that's the message. And it's very interesting because it's one of the terms that everybody's using right now, but you're putting it into practice. So it's very interesting, and I congratulate you both because it gives us the chance to see in a small space how can we do it. And one of the things that for me was more amazing after I did the whole tour, the visit in the boat, is that you don't only have the solution on the boat and outside of the boats, but the micro, I don't know if you use that term, but for me it's a micro recycling facility that you presented to us, that in a very small area you could set up a recycling facility that you could do all the things that you described, and could be used in the small communities, could be used in areas that are very far away, that for us is a very big challenge because, as you know, because it's the same in Europe, it's the same in the States, and here also, transportation of waste is very expensive.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about that micro recycling facility that you prepare, because it's something that for us is very interesting.
It's the idea we had quite late, actually, because we thought the biggest challenge with plastic pollution is to find a business model, is to find a viable business model. Because if you depend on subsidies or if you depend on donation, then you're not going to have a big impact. So the idea was we need to hack it, and we need to find a way that plastic waste will become a resource, will become money somehow. And as you said, the biggest challenge is transport, because if you start to transport waste, as it's very light, it doesn't weigh a lot. So it costs a lot to transport the waste from a place to another. And so we thought if we cannot bring the waste to the facility, then we need to bring the facility to the waste where it's produced. And so what a better way of doing that than a container, actually, because you have everything in a container. You have a roof, you have walls, you can close it, so you can have machines and all the electricity, everything can be set up ready to use. So we started that actually on a parking in Marseille in France. And you know what? Because we had a big facility, but we didn't have the power. And it took so much time to find the right electrician to bring electricity to the facility. And so we thought, okay, we're just going to buy 2 containers, a genset, and try directly on the parking to recycle plastic. And then we thought, okay, this idea can be replicated everywhere, actually. That's how we started.
When I hear you talking, I imagine Bill Gates with the idea of a computer. And everybody knows the story of Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, that in the 70s, they started thinking of a computer, that there were huge facilities. I mean, to have a computer, you had to fill a whole room. So when I hear you talking, I think the same. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I'm really surprised, because all these years that I've been working with the recycling industry, it's the first time that I see an effort for a local small solution. And I love the expression that you said, that we need to go where the waste is to find the solution, not take the waste to the solution. Very interesting, and for me, I mean, I was very impressed. And I know you went to Africa before here. I know you're going other countries, but how other countries are seeing the boat? What practical solutions have you transferred to other countries?
Yeah, it's fine because it's really an exchange in knowledge. So it's not, we are not transferring something. It's really like we learn a lot from what people are doing on the field, and then we improve also what we have on board, what we have in the container, in the factory, and then we try the container, the factory on the field. And it's funny because, so we started in October last year, and we went to Lebanon, we went to North Africa, West Africa, South America. And every time we see a different world in terms of plastic recycling. It's the same problem, but not the same solutions. And everyone is like reinventing, every time reinventing the solutions, when you can just look what the neighbor is doing and just learn from the mistake and just replicate the solutions. So we were really impressed by the fact that all the solutions are already there, but not at the same place. You can take...
You're connecting the dots.
Yeah, you can take like one good idea from Tunisia and then one good idea from Senegal. And, you know, if you put that together like a Wikipedia, where everyone can have the knowledge about plastic recycling technologies, then you can move mountains, basically. I think the impression was everything exists, but nobody knows. Nobody knows it yet. So we need to act as a catalyst.
Excellent. Alex, let's take you. I mean, you're almost Dominican after 10 days. You both guys are. Tell us about your experience in Dominican Republic, beginning with the master class. What was your impression of 270? And I know you had restrictions of 270 entrepreneurs, Dominican entrepreneurs, that have proposals of finding a solution. What was your experience here in Dominican Republic?
It's a funny story because I was in holiday in August, and when I came back, the team was like, we have such a huge impact in Republican Dominican, and I was not supposed to come in the first place. But when I saw all of that, I was like, okay, we need to grow the team and put all the efforts in. And so I decided to come, and one of the most amazing thing here is that at each stopover we have like a call of interest for local entrepreneurs who wants to be trained in the plastic solutions, how to build your own facility. So we have a team of 12 people who come on board at each stopover. And for that we have maybe 20 people who are interested in, and we have to select them. So it takes a lot of time, but here we were expecting this 20 people, but it was 270 people.
That's great.
And then we were like, okay, what can we do? We will not leave 260 people aside and keep doing our thing with 10 of them. We need to find something to do on a bigger scale. And that's how we met, actually. And we made this masterclass happen here. So it was a mix. It was 2 days of masterclass. For us, it was the first time actually with interprets to translate French to or English to Spanish. Our Spanish is getting better, but it was not enough to do a masterclass of 2 days. And then we had 3 days in the laboratory, in the boat, with 12 or 13 people, very, very advanced, more advanced than the other. So the experience was and is still great here. There is a lot. I think that there is a lot of problems here, but also that there is a lot of solutions. We also have a map of local solutions that we want to see, to meet, and to gather the best ideas on the boat. And here the list is more than 100 people, 100 local solutions.
We're a very small country, but you don't know our history, but we're very famous because we're the second country in the whole world that produces more baseball players, for example. So we're very small, but we do things that expand. Our music, for example, merengue, bachata. You probably heard it in France.
Still trying to dance.
You're trained. No, I'm not gonna say it here, but I've heard that you've learned a lot in the colonial zone. It's a thing. I know that you already have a master class in bachata.
It's an exchange.
But with our music, for example, we have a lot of bachata, merengue, and it's been all over the world. But even dembow, it has several important artists in the world that play our music. Shakira, Bad Bunny. I don't like Bad Bunny, but Shakira, Bad Bunny, Karol G, whatever. I mean, there are a lot of people that understand that our music is interesting and they expand on our music. So one thing that we can leave on this table and continue discussion, we could be also with the Dominican people to start the message that to expand all around the world. I want to talk to you, Simon, because you said on an interview previous to this podcast, you said an expression that for me, I have it on almost on my heart written. And you said that we need to solve this problem now. We cannot wait anymore. I mean, 20 years ago, we had some conscience. I've always had it, but the first time I started hearing about the problems, the big problems about the environment, the global warming that has a relationship with the waste. I heard Al Gore when he went all through the world expressing a message. It was a problem that was coming. If we don't do a solution with environmental problems that we have, in some time the problem is gonna get to us. And what you said that we need to solve it now. I saw a post from United Nations in Instagram, and they said it's not that global warming is coming. Global warming is a real problem now, and I think your expression is very related to that. When you said that to the journalists, what's the message that you want to tell the Dominican people and the whole world? Because I know this is gonna go viral all around the world.
I think there is something we always say. Everyone has a good solution. They say, no, it's not my fault, it's the government, or it's the producer, or it's the consumer. And that's what we call the triangle, the inaction triangle. Because each one will say it's the other's fault. And so if you understand that you need to act now, you don't need to wait somebody else to do something, because each one has the power to do. Obviously the government can say, I'm going to ban plastic, or the producer can say, okay, I'm going to stop producing plastic. The consumer can also say, I'm not going to buy plastic. So each one has a responsibility. And I think that's important to understand that. Because once you understand that, then you stop waiting, you stop procrastinating. You know, you're just starting to realize that you need to act at your level. And I think that's the important things that we're trying to express. Another good things to have in mind is that obviously climate change is here, and it will be very difficult, more and more, and we can see. But the loss of biodiversity, and plastic is directly related to the loss of biodiversity, is even worse because it will kill us even faster. So it's important to see that climate change is something now, but the loss of biodiversity also, and so plastic pollution needs to be tackled now, basically.
Sure. Alex, let's do a theory. Let's start thinking about the future. If I tell you right now, what are the best practices that we as a country, as an island, that we could do immediately, besides technology that you're bringing to us, besides the message of consciousness of reducing the consumption? Because I always think about, if the 10 million Dominicans decide not to buy bottled water and just bring a container of their water, that's a big change, because we're generating millions of bottles of water per month. It's more easy to go to a market and buy the bottle, drink it, and throw it in the. So there are small, big steps that we could do to start doing a big change. If this country that is listening to you right now, what would be like some of the best practices that as a country, as a citizen, that we could do to improve the management of waste and plastic?
Well, it's a hard question because we're not here to give lessons
I'm not
to
gonna
anyone.
give you.
It is difficult to see what is the first step, but I would say that there is a process in changes. We call it the legacy of plastic. That's the plastic that was produced from 1950 until now, and now is today, and there is the plastic that we will produce from today to the upcoming 20 years.
And every year we're producing more plastic.
And each year we're producing more plastic. So it's like this. We have to separate the problems. And a lot of people say there is like a bit of a fight in the NGOs, even in the NGOs. Some of them are saying we cannot speak about recycling because the real solution is to reduce. And some others say we have to recycle because the plastic already exists. And we think that we should address both problems at the same time. It's actually two separated problems. There is a legacy, we have to handle it because only 10% of the plastic was handled. So what should we do now? I think it's to really question ourselves about the use of the plastic that we use on a day-to-day basis. Is it really useful? Do I need this straw? Do I need this glass? Can I not bring my own? There is no lessons to be made because there are a lot of countries, a lot of different environments, and we don't want to make one solution for everybody, but everybody must question themselves. Do I need this to produce a new trash tomorrow? So also we are thinking a lot of recyclings because there is a lot to do with the past, but we are thinking a lot about the future also.
I agree completely. Simon, you have still like a year and a half that you're going to be traveling around 2 years, 2 more years. Wow, amazing. I have a friend here that wants to live with you, but he's not going to be allowed. Yeah. He's in the back, but he's not allowed. We're going to get the police. At the end of the 2-year travel, that I hope you invite me on your final destination and we can receive you. I mean, sure. But because it's, for me, it's very important to see how this ends. What would be, I mean, I know you're living the dream already. I know, I see it on your face. I mean, you're happy with the message. But what would be your main goal after the 2 years that you end up in France again, in a port, that the whole world or most of the world got this message? What would be your main goal in that sense, or objective?
We are discovering a lot of solutions, experimenting a lot of solutions starting some pilot project already on the field, but our dream really is to see all these solutions being replicated everywhere at such a point that we cannot count it anymore, you know. So I hope that in 2 years we would not be able to tell how many solutions spread, you know, thanks to these expeditions and thanks to all the entrepreneurs and initiatives we met. That's the dream goal, you know. It's really to have this network, this international network of local initiatives everywhere that doesn't necessarily need us to run and to operate. That's, for me, that's the dream.
Excellent, excellent. In our case, for us, it's not just a visit. It's not just this experience. I hope we can continue working. We continue learning from your experiences, and we have, as DO Sostenible and all the people that you've met in these days and the people that you're going to meet in the next days, I hope that we can continue working on those local solutions. It's not just only bringing the message, it's going and trying to execute those technologies and put it in at the service of the people. So my compromise here is that we continue working, and maybe in 2 years when you land in France, you take a plane or another boat and you come and see all that we have been doing with you guys, and hopefully with many other organizations and many other people in the Dominican Republic and the whole world, because it's an effort that we need to do as the human race. It's not something that the French people are going to solve or the Dominican people are going to solve. It has to be a global solution. Here in public, I hope we can continue working. I know that you now have internet in your boat, so we'll be able to communicate. Let's keep working, and let's keep creating consciousness. What you're doing is very important, because from my experience, from what I've seen, many people don't understand the problem. So raising awareness sometimes is as important as bringing technological solutions. So I hope you can continue raising this awareness. When you come to Dominican Republic and people are impressed, this can expand. And hopefully 270 people went today, and in your next visit there will be 2,000 entrepreneurs. Because I don't think the final solution will be creating big plants, big landfills and big projects. It's part of the solution. We need it because we generate so much waste that we need those big solutions. But if you don't give an economic sense, a financial sense of all of this, and all the people get involved in small communities, in the barrios that you already visited, and start making profits, benefits, having benefits out of this industry, real grassroots solution. I don't think if you share this idea with me, but we need to get involved the people.
Yeah, that's for sure. It has to come from, as you said, from communities. Grassroots solutions has to have a big impact.
Yeah, and also I think that the big industries, the big solutions, they can help, as you said, and they are part of the solutions also. But it will take time, and we don't have it. We don't have time. You cannot afford to build very big infrastructures. And also, I think that, as you said, the community must be involved because, for example, in France, because that's my part that I know, when you throw trash, you don't really see the end value of the trash, where it goes. So you don't really, it doesn't really matter what it becomes. It becomes, as soon as it is in the trash, it becomes someone else's problem.
Exactly.
So in a small scale, in a small facility, in a neighborhood, for example, everybody will know what the plastic will become. And it's easier to get the people awareness and involvement in this when you see the outcome. If you just send the trash, the plastic to China, nobody will be involved really.
And sending the plastic to China will generate more pollution because you have to put it on a boat.
Exactly.
The boats are not electric. It's not a definitive solution to the problem. And talking about that, I wanted to show you things that we've been doing in the Dominican Republic and it's very, very interesting to see how we're using science in DO Sostenible, and all of the materials here are recyclable materials. So this is a practical solution from a small company, one of the entrepreneurs that came over for your masterclass. And I wanted to show people that it's not a theory. I mean, this is in practice. You can use this type of solutions already because it's also a commercial decision. I mean, communities have to be involved, but companies have to take under their corporate responsibility solutions like this, because they can do a sign like this, and they can use virgin material, but materials like this can be used, and it's a decision from the authorities or companies. So I think we have to raise awareness, not just in the communities, but in also corporations to take a decision, because since corporations are so big and they manage so many people and they do so many purchases, when you do decisions like this, can impact a lot of people also. So
sure.
I don't know if you've seen this, but
Yeah,
before,
it's really nice. And you can also, I mean, we see this sign, but you can imagine having these plastic lumbers to replace wood in, many different objects, furnitures or anything.
I think for the first podcast of DO Sostenible, I think it has been a great experience to have you here. Before the podcast, we had an amazing dinner in the boat. So you see them as skinny and everything, but they're eating very well. They're very healthy. So you don't have to worry about that. I think I need to be 2 months in the boat so I can lose some weight. But we have a responsibility here. For me, I just wanted to ask you both to have a final message for the Dominican people. So it's your goal.
I will like a simple message, but I think we all have the solutions. We can all act. We just need to realize that there is a problem, urgent problem, and that we, as a consumer, as a producer, as a politician, we all can act and do amazing stuff. So let's do it. Vamos.
Alex?
The same. So I would just say a big thank you to the Dominican Republic people for the welcome, for the strength of the people that were involved in our stopover, and I really strongly believe that there is a very strong energy for the upcoming month, years. We have a positive thing here, and it will get bigger and bigger. I'm sure that after the boat leaves and after you guys make sure that it still goes on.
And I hope you can eat mofongo again and some of the beer that we're not going to say the name. Well, I'm going to change to Spanish just to say goodbye. DO Sostenible ha sido un verdadero privilegio tener a Simón y Alex estos días. Ha generado un mensaje no solo a nivel general de todos los visitantes, pero sino a lo interno del equipo de DO Sostenible. Le ha permitido materializar, ver todas esas ideas que nosotros hemos puesto sobre la mesa para la solución del problema de los residuos sólidos. Ellos nos han permitido verlo en la práctica. Y lo que parece como un sueño para nosotros muchas veces, verlo materializar en un bote, verlo en un furgón con la máquina de microrreciclaje, nos llena de esperanza y es una invitación no solo a los actores y los emprendedores y a DO Sostenible y al Ministerio de Medio Ambiente y a las demás autoridades, sino a toda la población a motivarse a que transformemos esta realidad que, como Simón y Alex nos dicen, es una solución inmediata que necesitamos. No podemos seguir teniendo plásticos ni en el río Sama, ni en Montesino, ni en ninguna de las playas de nuestro país. Tenemos que buscar soluciones porque esto es un llamado a la acción del cual tenemos que comenzar a actuar a partir de este momento. De parte de nosotros, estamos abiertos a recibir y a continuar incentivando a la población, a los ciudadanos, a los emprendedores, a las empresas, a las grandes empresas, en volvernos los canalizadores de un cambio y una transformación necesaria e inmediata. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in a couple of years in this table, happier and celebrating the success of Plastic Odyssey and DO Sostenible.
Muchas
Thank
gracias.
you very much. Muchas gracias.
Bueno,
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
siempre.